Lagos, the seventh fastest growing city in the world, which is home to 22 million people, accounts for 14.7% of the national housing deficit. Many residents live in informal settlements with limited or no access to basic services and being vulnerable to forced evictions. On January 21, 2020, Nigerian authorities evicted thousands of residents from Tarkwa Bay, an island located along the Atlantic coast of the city. The Nigerian Navy said that the eviction was as a result of houses being built on pipelines and reoccurring oil theft. However, with no housing plan in place for people evicted, those who stayed on the island have been sleeping outside for the past 15 months. For the safety of residents who speak to us in this report, their names have been changed and their identity is anonymous.
What's happened is last year is big thing. We built house, they built our house, but they don't even say now the government said them to build our house. And then we beg, but they don't even do. The notice where they will do is a fake notice. They don't even pay the paper, but we don't see the paper because they just do fake. At the time they give us like 35 minutes, me and my children we are sleeping beach. They kill some people are dying about this thing.
Ruins, rubbles, remains. Well over 1 year later, and the Tarkwa Bay village still looks like a war zone. It is also alleged that dozens of people were killed by security forces during the forced evictions.
As they come, people with them kill, this is where they bury them. They bury them on top of each other. And they bury people for a year too. Like 20 people now they bury for a year. Children where they there not too plenty. Highest, they're not past 6.
Ayo was also forcefully evicted from his home last year and has been sleeping outside on the beach ever since.
I have 3 children. Now when I see the rain don't they beat us for outside here. I carry them go meet my grandma and my mom. And since then we'll be staying outside here, no job, nothing. They don't promise to give us anything. They don't promise, or they just say they don't want to see us for the island anymore. So that we should go.
It is estimated by the Federal Mortgage Housing Bank of Nigeria that there's a housing deficit of 22 million homes across the country. In 2019, the United Nations Special Reporter on Housing visited Nigeria to assess the crisis. Her report concluded that poverty is acute, inequality is increasing, and housing conditions remain grossly inadequate for millions of Nigerians. Meanwhile, luxury developments remain vacant, and although there have been a total of 7 housing schemes developed by the current Lagos state government, there is still a very wide gap to close. For a legal perspective, I met Miriam Allo, a senior attorney with the Justice and Empowerment Initiative, an organization that's been at the forefront of defending people forcefully evicted from their homes.
The eviction of persons from their homes, which they have, lived in for quite a number of years, quite a long time, without notice, is essentially a violation of their right to the dignity of the human person. All these evictions lead to it exacerbates the already problematic housing crisis that we have in the state. Because when you evict mass numbers of persons from communities, where are they supposed to go? And then there's the National Housing Fund. It's supposed to be a solution for salary earners to acquire real estate, landed property. But in actual fact, there are many low-income earners, especially in the informal economy, that don't receive a salary. Therefore, there's nothing to deduct on a monthly basis to contribute to the housing fund. So how do we solve that problem?
The cost of construction has risen steeply since the 1987 Land Use Decree Act was signed into law. According to PwC, the cost of building a house in Nigeria is relatively higher, while the average income level is relatively lower compared to the global average. In December 2020, the federal government announced that it would be constructing 300,000 housing units for low-income earners under the National Social Housing Program, a component of the current administration's Economic Sustainability Plan. The program promises to provide not just 300,000 homes, but 600 estates across all states of the Federation, 100% local content, and 1.8 million jobs. But there are other hurdles to overcome. Prevalent discrimination towards certain groups of people means that many Lagosians are struggling to rent a home, let alone buy one. Companies like Muster Africa are, however, addressing this by providing more flexible renting options.
In a fast-growing city like Lagos State, it is important to offer flexible rental solutions because having flexible solutions would help people to be able to also plan short-term and achieve their short-term goals, while not being tied to rigid contracts. And then because of the societal bias against women, where a single working-class lady cannot basically secure a space even when she can pay for it, because women are supposed to be in their, basically with their parents or in their family homes, and so this gender bias basically affects them, which is why I think our solution is able to provide them this access to better living conditions.
About 2 billion people worldwide own the property that they live in, and about 5.3 billion do not. Seventh Space is a Lagos-based company building container homes as a more affordable option for aspiring homeowners.
Seventh Space is an architecture company, and we focus on regular architecture solutions as well as providing modular housing solutions. The major problem that we have is a housing crisis in Nigeria, actually most of sub-Saharan Africa. I think what we ventured out to do was figure out a way to solve that problem. And so we decided to go through multiple iterations of quicker, more efficient ways to build. Our end user is an upwardly mobile, young Nigerian, either single or just starting a home, and who is desperately in need of one-bedroom or studio apartments. 10 years from now, I see container homes as standard, because they're the only viable way to provide standardized housing, just in the same way electrical cars are the future of transportation. Modular housing is the future of housing. In order for us to be able to build quicker, to match the need, to build standard, simple products, to also match the requirements of the people.
600,000 new people arrive in Lagos every year, and the existing housing deficits, alongside outdated laws and also the fact that very few Nigerians have access to home loans from banks, is keeping many people in poverty. Solutions like container homes here at Seventh Space do exist and are playing their small role to help the crisis. However, until we have a national housing plan that's robust enough to provide housing and rights to housing for millions of Nigerians, unfortunately, far too many people remain vulnerable to widespread discrimination and forced evictions. Johnson-Salami, Arise News, Lagos.